One catch from Brian Thomas Jr. could change the entire Jaguar season like the catch he had against Houston. Maybe, maybe not. We'll talk about it today on Locked On Jaguars.
You are Locked On Jaguars, your daily Jacksonville Jaguars podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I hear nothing but facts stated because it is your team every day here on Locked On Jaguars. We thank you for making us your first listen. I'm Tony Wiggins, the host of the Locked On Jaguars podcast that you can find wherever you get those podcasts, whether you watch or listen. We will be there each and every day bringing you content from the source, that is us. We have our finger on the pulse of the team, been credentialed member of the media for 2 decades, so we kind of know what we're doing when it comes to talking about these Jaguars, as do all of our local hosts across the Locked On Podcast Network. So we're glad to have you here. Shout out to the everydayers for joining us each and every day. And if you're new here, we'll give you a reason to come back, I promise you. Let me give you a little bit of a rundown. I got my man Travis Holmes from Big Cat Country up in here in the Duval Dive podcast. We're going to go through the keys to victory in the third segment, right in the middle of the show, injury report trap. I'm going to tell you why. Don't be looking at that lengthy injury report thinking this is going to be sweet, because it's not. But one play from BTJ can change the 2025 season. Trav, what's going on, man? We have watched BTJ go up and down a little bit in camp and get off to a really, really poor start early in the season. But he made a big catch last week against Houston that cemented the win for the Jaguars. Do you think he can build off of that and move forward and get back to the Brian Thomas Jr. we all love?
Oh, absolutely. I don't think there's any doubt inside of that locker room, and I definitely don't think there's any doubt as far as the coaching staff is concerned. I mean, at the end of the day, that's all that it takes is for that one big plays, for that one bounce back to all of a sudden say, all right, cool. Everything's normal. Now let's be who I normally am. Now let's be who I naturally have been since my college days and even in the 2024 season. So overall, like it's great to end the game on that high. And now you just want to see if you can kind of build on that and continue building on those small victories until all of a sudden you look back and say, hey, this season worked out very well. It just took that one play to kind of get me on the right track.
Yeah, man, because he missed a tough catch down the sideline. That would have been a great catch. I almost thought he was trying too hard because I think if he'd have just kept running, the ball would have fell to him. But he did the old back shoulder, I'm going to jump high, elevate, and he almost made a spectacular catch. But then it was the routine easy ones that he was missing. I'm not one to jump off a bandwagon, but I will tell you I'm a big Brian Thomas Jr. fan. But I'm also not a person that if somebody's struggling, I'm going to act like it ain't no big deal. No, it was a big deal. And you can tell on his face in his interviews that it was a little bit of a big deal. Fans will go crazy and be like, get him out of here, trade him. We don't need him. He's a bum. He's a bust. And for the life of me, they get angry when we don't do our job that way, because you just can't do it. You can't do it when a guy has highs and then he falls into these lows. And you can't do it when a guy like Brenton Strange starts his career off with lows and now he's high in his third year. You just don't give up on people just that quickly. But I think it could change the Jaguar season, because when you get him going, I think it opens everything up for Travis Hunter. I think it opens things up for Parker Washington. And I think it opened things up in the run game. You saw teams, Houston, the other day, they made a concerted effort, and I was told that I was making stuff up when I said this from the press box. I said, Houston is really trying to stop the run and trying to make the quarterback beat him. Liam Cohen came out and said they put a fifth guy in the box, and they weren't going – look, they got run all over. What do you think they're going to do? They're going to say, nope, we're going to pick our poison, right? And I think Trevor played well enough, if those drops don't happen, to make complimentary football go the way it's supposed to. But if they're trying to stop the run and you're dropping passes that the quarterback puts on your chest – then that's why they ended up in that close game against Houston, and it's probably why they lost the game against Cincinnati.
Well, let me give you a little bit of pushback on that. And I do generally agree with you. I actually do agree with the philosophy that they put 5 in the box, that they dared Trevor Lawrence and that wide receiver group to beat them. I agree with that philosophy wholeheartedly. I thought Houston would do something similar, and they did. And I also think San Francisco is going to probably do the same thing. And most teams that face Jacksonville will likely do that same thing until Jacksonville proves that they can consistently have a functioning offense with that extra man in the box or with that extra down lineman down. So I believe that to be true. What I don't know about is whether or not whether or not good enough is good enough, if that makes sense, from the quarterback position.
Right.
And what I mean to say is when you say Trevor Lawrence played good enough to win, and I do agree with you generally. Like if the receivers catch those balls, they play well enough. But at the same time, is just playing well enough every single game the standard? I don't think any of us kind of would agree with that. And that's kind of where I'm like, well, some games you're going to need your quarterback to be a little bit better because the guys, one wide receiver is just not going to be where he needs to be. One running back, the running game's not going to be there. And you need him to be that guy. And I don't know when to start drawing that line of saying, all right, cool, Trevor, you need to be better than just good enough for us to succeed this week. If you know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you. And I feel you. I'm glad you made that point too, because it gives us a chance to really go over some other things. When it comes to Trevor, I want it to be game by game. And I want it to be a situation where he starts to do whatever it takes to win games. And whether or not that is going to be good enough to eventually win a Super Bowl, I don't even want to look at it from a macro perspective. I want him to get used to figuring it out how to pull these games off, no matter what. Ben Roethlisberger style. You can play terrible all game and have 156 yards passing, but that last drive got 70 of them. Like when he scrambled the other day and ran for that first down. Like when he changed the audible and he hit the thing with BTJ. I think if he starts to string those things together, then you look back and he's strung a whole bunch of things together. And now you can look at this macro approach and say, he's just going to figure it out. Keep him close. This is what he does. And that's what I think is just changing our opinion about who Trevor is. I don't mind gritty Trevor. I like gritty Trevor over sunshine Trevor, because gritty Trevor means the defense is probably playing well. See, it's all about complimentary football for me. They want to run the ball. They want to be tough. You hear Liam Cohen talking. I told people, y'all think this dude, Opie Taylor, y'all out of y'all mind. And Liam Cohen is showing you he is a tough guy. I want them to play that way. If it has to be Jacksonville with a more talented version of Blake Bortles, then so be it. But that means that there's a throw that he can make that Blake couldn't. And I think if he starts to string those things together, we can now look back and say, hold on, we got 11 of these things. That means that that's what you're going to get in a critical time in the playoffs.
I'm with you. I'm with you. Generally speaking, I'm definitely with you, because at my core, I am not a quarterback wins guy. And I generally push back hard against quarterback wins guys when they're like, well, it's a team sport. It's too many moving pieces to just be like, all right, the wins are on this guy. But at the same time, you look at a guy like a Pat Mahomes and you're just like, well, he's played terribly in these games. And then you're like, well, what's his record? It doesn't matter, because when you get to those crunch time situations, he finds a way to grit it out, to your point. He finds a way to have the messiest of games. But he got that right scramble at the right time. He found a way to get that tight end.
Jalen Hurts has made a career out of it. Jalen Hurts has made a career out of it. People forget last year in the playoffs when Baltimore went up there and lost that game to Buffalo. I don't think the quarterback had 150 yards passing. But guess what? He figured it out, didn't he? And that's the thing, that this could look like you could get 350 and win. You could get a buck 45 and win. But it's what you do in these critical moments, especially when it gets late. We're going to talk about this injury report trap here in just a second. While the Jaguars should not fall trap to it, I hope the fans don't, and I hope the Jaguars don't either. Don't look at the injury report. Just act like all of those dudes out there. We'll discuss that in just a second here on Locked On Jaguars. All right, today's show is sponsored and brought to you by Square. All right, listen, this episode is brought to you by Square, your favorite neighborhood spots run on Square. There are certain businesses that truly make the neighborhood feel like home, whether it's the local sports bar packed on game days, the coffee shop that knows your order by heart, or the corner deli that's been serving your community for decades. There are places that bring people together. When neighborhood businesses thrive, the whole neighborhood thrives. I'm telling you, man, there's local spots all over the place, whether it's barbershops, the taco place right down the street from me here on Yellow Bluff, All of these spots, my wife's favorite coffee shop too. They take Square and make payment very, very easily. It's a proud partner of more than 4 million neighborhood businesses around the world, and you can go to square.com/go/locked-on-NFL to learn more. But before you buy, go support your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy you did. Square, see you in the neighborhood. And today's show is also sponsored and brought to you and presented by DoorDash. It's almost the weekend. It's time to look back and crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered. Powered by DoorDash, just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more every time you order. These players deliver when it mattered most. Let's break it down. We were talking about my man Brian Thomas Jr. He might not have played well all day, but he made the one catch when he needed the most, a catch and run for 46 yards that all but sealed the Jaguars' second win of the season. That's my man. And just like Brian Thomas Jr. delivered for the Jacksonville Jaguars, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays with DoorDash Streaks. You save every Saturday you order. Stack it all up all season, and you can save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday and keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo period through November 18th. All right, we're moving and grooving with my man here, Travis Holmes of Big Cat Country and the Duval Dive podcast that he hosts with my man Nash. I can't get both of y'all. It's hard enough for me to line up one of y'all at a time, not to mention trying to get both of y'all on here at the same time and do it. And I ain't recording at night because I'm somewhere else at night. You know what I'm saying? But I got my man Trav here. Normally, Trav is traveling down to the stadium for press conferences, and I'm gonna tell you right now, man, I appreciate your grind. You make a 2-hour trek just about every day, probably 4 hours if you look at round trip. And that grind, man, is always going to be something that gets you all of the things that you want. You guys are doing a great job, and that's why I have you on. You're one of the smartest people in Jacksonville media.
Appreciate you, bro.
Smart enough to not fall for an injury report, because if you do that against the 49ers, you're going to get schemed up. And I know they're missing a lot of people. Here's one person in particular they're mentioning that Brian Peacock talked about, Nick Bosa, one of the best players in the National Football League. He's out. Listen to this.
It's possible that Nick Bosa is never the same after this is his third ACL. Let's be realistic about it, right? That's one of the possibilities that Nick Bosa, I don't think his career is going to be over, but again, it's probably a little bit more tough to come back from it each time. And you hope he comes back just as strong as he was before. And you know it's not going to be from a lack of effort and work that Nick Bosa puts in to get back. But maybe do you start losing a step here and there? Maybe you're not quite the explosive guy you used to be. And does that change the trajectory of your career? And that
49ers have big injury concerns, and Trent Williams is getting older. Christian McCaffrey isn't quite the same. Brock Purdy might play, might not play. I don't care. George Kittle, I don't think's playing. I don't care. Watch out. It's a trip out west. You got to be real careful not to eat that stuff and fall for that rat poison that Nick Saban often talks about.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. This team has been injured. I mean, going back to the 2019 season, they always have significant injuries throughout their roster, and they still find ways to very consistently win games. So you can't just look at the injury report and say, oh, man, it's so big. Jacksonville should win. No. I mean, every team on that schedule for the past 6 years could make that exact same argument, and they ended up losing those games. Like, Jacksonville has to prepare like this team is full strength because they are the grittiest of gritty bunches. You want to talk about that Houston Texans defense from last week and how gritty they were and able to kind of keep that game close when Jacksonville's playing an imperfect game. Then you have the exact same conversation, the exact same scenario, not just with the defense for the San Francisco 49ers, but also for that offense. They play that complementary football that you talked about and keeping the games close, controlling the rock, trying to just keep it where that they can have a shooting, opportunity at the end of the game to kind of steal this victory. And they've done very well at 3-0, finding a way to do that in a very difficult conference. So in very difficult division. So I'm kind of with you. And hey, man, the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to likely face another gritty bunch in that way. And whether or not they have their star guys, whether or not you have Brock Purdy playing or Brandon Ayuk or Kittle or Nick Bosa or fill in the blank new person, they just find ways to win because they have that right ecosystem, that right coaching staff, the right players, etc. So don't get caught slipping, man.
No, you can't get caught slipping. And while the Jags are trying to figure themselves out and their own identity and how to move the ball around and make plays, I fully expect them to win this game. I think on FanDuel, the number was plus 145 on the money line. I'll take the money line all day. You don't have to give me no points. I'm going to take the Jaguars to win. But you got to watch it. You got to make sure that you dial in, and it has to be all about you. It can't be about who's playing and who's not playing. Don't get yourself caught up in these games. So far this year, the Jaguars have been masters at being in games that they should be well ahead of because they make certain mistakes. I'm going to ask you a question about the Cincinnati game. Do you think the way that game ended, bad call or not, do you think the way that the game ended, that it helped this team realize, no, not today. We're not going to let this happen. The one that got away, I think it still sticks into their craw a little bit, but I also believe that it could be motivation for them to always realize that you have to stop beating yourself if you want to get on that plane happy and come home.
I mean, I think I agree with you generally. Like it's something that, they say, Jordan Lewis at the end of the game basically told the team, hey, man, that wasn't a situation where we were beat. That's a situation where we beat ourselves. We just lost the game, kind of those types of conversations. And I agree with him. They did lose that game. They did make some key mistakes in some key situations, but they were in control of it the entire time. But in my hopeful spirit, I want to say, yes, it's great that they learned that early, but also in my pessimistic side of things, I'm just being honest, they did the exact same thing against Houston. They should have been up 17 points at the half, 14 at least, and then they allowed them to stay in the game and start driving down the field. And if CJ Stroud has any sort of accuracy and hits Kristen Kirk on that slot fade, they may tie that game up, and who knows how it's going to go. So I'm happy Jacksonville was able to steal it, but they're going to have to learn how to win. And I hate using those coaching phrases, but it's true. They're going to have to learn how to pull away those games, not just late, but early on when you should have that 17-point lead, that you actually achieve that. And when you shouldn't be making those early plays, you should, capitalize on them. I think that's true across the board. So again, I'm not trying to have all these coaching phrases, but it's kind of true in a lot of ways. The Jacksonville Jaguars have to stop shooting themselves in the foot to allow these other teams who they should be dominating to be in the games and have a sense of confidence right there. So I think that's kind of where they are right now, though.
Yeah, I'm tracking with you. I'm tracking with you on the coach speak too. Are you tired of the term on the grass yet? On the grass. I ain't never heard. The last time I heard grass talked about so much is in the movie Friday when Stanley told Depot and Smokey to stay off his grass. Everybody's on the grass now, but man. Yeah, I love it, man. Ain't nothing.
I'm a on the tape guy, man. Yeah, I'm a hey, man. What the tape say? Yeah, but not the grass.
The tape say. We ain't worried about the grass, man. We're gonna talk about more things, including the keys to victory. I'm gonna get Trav to tell us exactly what he believes the Jaguars have to do. Might even get a little prediction out of him. We'll do that in just a second here on Locked On Jaguars. All right, today's show sponsored by our friends over at Mazda, because Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride, with more IIHS top safety picks awards than anyone else as of August 2025. From footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat all the details. Mazda brings the same intention to how we craft every model. You can feel Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to available Napa leather upholstery. You can make everyday drives feel like anything but, from smooth handling to intuitive controls. With all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence through almost any season. Like our players, we sweat every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. All right, we're going to move. We're going to move into the part of the show where I get Travis to tell me what the keys to victory for the Jacksonville Jaguars will be this week and whether he thinks they will be victorious. Come on, Trav, what you got?
All right, so first thing first, you got to stop CMC. Like, and I know I say stop CMC. That feels nearly impossible. Even when you stop him on the ground, he's going to get the ball in the passing game. I mean, the guy got 15 targets last week. So, like, you can't miss tackles, but you have to find a way to limit him at least. Let's just start there. Though we've seen the Jacksonville Jaguars in the passing game have to go against guys who are considered elite at the position, like a Nico Collins, like a Jamar Chase, a T. Higgins, etc. But what we haven't seen is them face a guy who's truly elite on the ground or in the receiving game out of the backfield so far. We saw those other elite guys get theirs. Can the Jacksonville Jaguars limit how often CMC is going to be able to get his? Because he powers that running game. He's the leading rusher, but and he also powers their passing game as their second leading receiver. That's a problem. Like, you got to find a way to kind of limit that guy. So that's it. It starts and stops with him, just to be clear. But as a secondary item, you got that guy Ricky Pearsall, that second-year receiver, man, who's doing some things, and you got to have a situation where your Jacksonville Jaguars secondary is able to kind of limit him and not allow those second and third guys for the San Francisco 49ers to control the tempo, to kind of keep these chains moving. Because if you have CMC, who you expect to get his things, going on, you then can't have a second guy and a third guy just having 100-yard days or career days, or it's going to be a long day in Duval County, man, trying to watch this game. So it's going to start with CMC, but you also, Tyson Campbell, Travis Hunter, Jordan Lewis, etc. You're going to have to find a way to limit this guy and not let him have the games that those other elite, receiver options kind of had previously in the season. So I'm starting with those two. And there's a lot of keys to this game, just to be real with you. But I'm going to start with those two and see if you have any responses to those.
Yeah, I'm with you, because what they're going to do is the Jaguars defense got to trust their eyes and be instinctive.
Yeah.
Right. But don't fall for what you see, because they will run a lot of misdirection. It looks like it's going this way. It's going to be coming this way. You're going to see a quarterback roll out or a bootleg, and then he'll throw it back the other way. And then there's always the screen game. I think I would be more concerned if this was last year's defense. This year, with the way Devin Lloyd is playing, with the way Dewey Wingard is playing, with the addition of Jordan Lewis, and of course the steady Eddie hand of Ford Oluokun and Eric Murray's play, I think they have a nice balance of dudes that play instinctive, that can also have a navigation system that diagnoses things. So they won't get caught. And the way Trayvon Walker plays, he is the dude that is never, and this is one thing people don't understand about how he was trained up at Georgia. You're not fooling him with misdirection. They were built to stop draw plays, quarterback scrambles, and dudes beating your quarterbacks getting out to the edge. You're not going to have to worry about that with him, because he's not going to over pursue. He's always going to do his job and be at home. It's the other people that have to also make sure that they do the same thing. So from that perspective, I'm good. What they're doing with the 49ers is they have two dudes that you just mentioned. They get them in one-on-one situations and see if you can tackle them in the open field. You gotta be able to get those guys down and keep down in distance at bay and not give them first downs. When you flip it around on the other side, because Nick Bosa's not there, because they're a little bit young in their secondary, Fred Warner, you got to find Fred. Finding Fred, that's one of my keys to victory. And the way you can do that, you have to formation him out of some plays. The way you line your tight ends up, the way you deploy your backs, there's a way that you can make sure you play keep away from Fred Taylor, and then string him out a little bit. Send Britton Strange right at him half the time. Make sure he has to guard people each and every play, and then try to hit some things over the top. This is why you can't have drops, because what happens is you set stuff up all game, and then when you get it and you execute it and everything's perfect, you got to be able to finish the play by catching the football. And you got to be able to finish the play, if you're Trevor Lawrence, by making an accurate throw. I think Trevor needs to use his legs a little bit. I think what you do with Fred Warner at this stage of his career, because he doesn't have the help that he's had in the past, and he doesn't have Nick Bosa there to clean a lot of things up, I think you run him sideline to sideline. You make Fred Taylor go every which way but loose. You can't run from the smoke, but you can make him run a long ways to get to the point where the ball is. So I think Liam Cohen and crew, that's what they're going to do. They have a lot of experience in LA on exactly how to play this defense, and that's exactly what I believe they're going to do, and that's why I think they're going to win.
No, I got you. No, a lot more jet sweeps than we already know. The Jaguars love to run them. So cool. I'm good with you there. I mean, without Bosa, the 49ers pass rush is going to be very muted because going back to 2019, their pressure rate, drops from 36% to 30% without Bosa. I mean, last week against the Arizona Cardinals, it was a 45% pressure rate. And as soon as Bosa left the field, it went down to 28. So you're going to see a much more muted pass rush from the 49ers, but that's not to say they don't still have guys like Mikael Williams is still being moved around. Like 30% of his snaps, he was playing defensive tackle. There is going to be a little bit of movement there. So the Jaguars will still have to block him. I believe they can. I believe Anton Harrison and Patrick McCarry will have a solid day as far as that's concerned. But to your point, you got to get these guys horizontally, not necessarily vertically, making them move side to side to slow that pass rush down, to slow that linebackers going downhill down a little bit, make them think a little bit more. And to your point, you're going to get 2 to 4 plays a game that's going to be open downfield. The Arizona Cardinals, Marvin Harrison Jr., he dropped one of the wide open opportunities that they would have had maybe for a touchdown. They had another one that was called back for a penalty. The Jaguars have to capitalize, and we can say that's all day. It's not about the San Francisco 49ers. It is not about the opponent. It is about the Jaguars playing the game that they know they are capable of playing, and if they are able to do that, they should walk away with the victory. If they don't, they're going to be looking themselves in the mirror, talking about the drops, talking about the penalties, talking about the miscues all over again. So it's up to them.
I'm going to make a bold prediction. Jaguars going to win, and Travis Hunter's going to have an interception and a touchdown in this game. Not saying that the interception will be a pick six. I think he's going to score on offense. And I think because whoever the quarterback is, they got a little less velocity on that ball than the people he's seen so far. And I think his timing is getting down. It's now where that natural instincts, we saw it last week, how he was moving around, and it's like, okay, dude is pretty elite from a movement standpoint. And now you're going to see that IQ come in. I think the Jaguars going to win the game. I already told you, go to FanDuel, make sure you tap in. I think they're plus 145. I'm glad my man Trav came through today. Trav, let everybody know where they can find your work and where they can find you.
Well, you can find my work at bigcatcountry.com. We have the post-game pressers. We have the post-game write-up and our rewatch articles that comes out the Monday after the game. So take a look at that. You can find us on the bigcatcountry.com. You can also find me on the Duval Dive podcast with my co-host Kyle, the student of the game Nash. And we're going to keep this thing rolling. But my prediction, my heart tells me it's going to be Jacksonville by 1 point. I'm putting it 17-16. I'm putting this as a dog fight that's going to come down to the last minute with the Cam Little field goal. Like I'm saying it's going to be one of those. And my head tells, my head, we can listen to my head right now. That heart tells me it's Jacksonville, but so we're going to go with that 17-16 Jacksonville, and hopefully the right team shows up on the right side of the bed. But I appreciate you having me.
No doubt about it. And those kickers, the kicker has to play better. And Logan Cook, he didn't have his best game last week. Hopefully he can play better. Make sure you tap in to Locked On NFL twice a day. Tyler Rowland, the Madman, wakes you up like a double shot of espresso early in the morning. And about 2 o'clock every day, I slide through the barbershop and I give it to you like you can't get nowhere else. And we use the help of clips from around our network, from the people who know it best. That's the Locked On podcast folks on our network from Locked On NFL that have their finger on the pulse of the team, just like I do here with the Jacksonville Jaguars. All right, we'll be here with a post-game show on Sunday. Make sure you tap in and enjoy the game. It's the late game, obviously a 4 o'clock kickoff, so enjoy the game. We'll be here about 30 to 45 minutes after the end of the game. Hopefully a Jaguars victory. We appreciate you joining us here on the Locked On Podcast Network. We thank you for spending 28.5 minutes with us. We don't take you for granted.